All right. How we looking there, Don? We good? All right. Chris Fluck Podcast, episode 13. We are still here at Portch headquarters in Emmaus, Pennsylvania. All right. Right now, Frank and I got two guests. Frank
Special
Donley,
guest.
You guys know him. And then this one here was making all kinds of racket on our last podcast, so we just brought her up here. Young Amelia, my daughter. She likes phones and playing with glass bottles and smiling at people.
She will soon like kombucha.
Yep, she drinks it for sure. So today, basically, we're talking about her and her lats, and
she's yoked.
we're talking
basically,
about baby. We're talking about
about
development here with this young one here and how they. We're trying to get her on the pull-up bar pretty soon.
No mobility issues.
Nope, zero. Deep squats.
Squats deep.
Tremendous at knocking stuff over and just grabbing stuff and smashing things. It's one of her strengths. Speaking of which, Frank, what have you been up to, man? Workout-wise? It's been a while, a couple weeks.
Workout-wise, yeah.
I feel like I haven't talked to you in a while.
Bro. And I never see you anymore, actually. 'Cause now that Wolfie's in the mix.
We got an intern. Shout out to Wolf.
Training-wise, I started your Juggernaut program.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm three weeks in. It's pretty miserable. I started doing front squats for the first time in like a year, and it starts with high reps, so it's like 5 sets of 10.
So what's the...
It's a mobility issue for sure.
There's 3 parts. It's accumulation, intensification, and then...
And realization.
Realization.
So that's with the AMRAP. Every third week is an AMRAP, and then the percentage basically goes down as you go.
So first time you're going to... So I think there's 3 blocks in 3 periods, right? So it's 9 total sessions?
Correct.
So then the first part is accumulation, where you're doing a moderate weight for 5
More
sets
volume,
of 10.
yeah.
And then you're going set of 5, 3 sets of 10 with the heavier weight. At the end of it here, you're basically cycling from high reps to as many reps as possible at a moderate weight. And then you kind of press the reset button. Phase 2, you're going to be doing...
Higher percentage with a lower rep range. 10
8s. And then your 8, it's based off...
10 8s and then... Wait, what do you mean? Sorry, you can talk.
No, the second phase is kind of based off an 8 rep max, whereas the first one is based off of like 10 reps. Because then it goes to 8s. It is, yeah. I mean, just on the chart, that's kind of how it was broken down. And I think the last part is 5s or 3s maybe. But anyway, everything's based off of 10 reps, say, for the first one, and then 8 reps for the second phase. Long story short, a lot of reps in the beginning, a lot of volume. At the end of the day...
I guess the program is based on what, though? You're supposed to back squat, bench press, military press, and deadlift? I'm basically just hex bar deadlifting, bench pressing, and front squatting.
When I did
so I'm only doing 3 days a week.
Yeah. I mean, I only did it for safety bar squat, split squats, which was a bit of a nightmare.
Unilateral guru.
But it drove my max up about 50, 60 pounds. It wasn't a true max in the beginning, but by the end of it...
In 9 weeks?
I had to.
Yeah.
I did it once a week, so yeah. Anyway, it was a big time game.
Split squat and what else?
Just split squats.
You only used it for one lift.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to do... I should have done it with the military press, but I did not. Because I'm a
You
slacker.
have concurrently done another one, too.
But, no, it's cool. Bring it over. So, that's Frank. For me, this is what we got
what are you
going
doing?
on, man.
Challenges! Trying to get real.
Yeah, do you hear Frank?
Yeah.
What's
Sorry.
he saying?
No. I don't know.
Anyway, Jim Wendler, 531 Mastermind. You'd call him a guru, potentially.
He's solid.
Potential guru candidate. Anyway, he had a bunch of challenges. I said to Frank. Frank felt insulted by some of his comments, I feel like, towards... Anyway, it's about...
I'm just weak.
And some stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So is me too. But, so what do we got to do? Chin-ups. 20 reps. Strict.
Strict, yeah. It's one set.
Or you take 10% of your body weight and you set the timer for 10 minutes. And you do as many reps as you can with strict form over 10 minutes. I failed to hit 40 reps. I'm going to give it another go, but I think I got to 34 good ones. Total lat failure, but I also didn't prepare at all for it in terms of muscular endurance. But
you never really do over 5 reps.
Never do over 5 reps.
We only have 2 people do it so far. One of my clients did 39.
Yeah.
He's pretty solid, though.
High school kid beat me, but I'm coming for him. Just to let you know, I am coming for him. So that's
someone's going to hit 40 basically before the whole thing's said and done.
By the end of the month. It's April 11th right now, so I'm thinking end of the month I'm getting it. Overhead press, military press, not the bench press. You have to overhead press your body weight, which is pretty serious stuff. This is a strict press.
Yeah.
No legs involved. Old school. strict military press, which I like that. I like the old school nature. I like all those old time guys. That
they used to test it out.
Press heavy weights like the Olympic clean and press.
I guess it's too hard to test.
It is, but
because you don't really have any bend in it, and it still looks like you have a push press if you squeeze your glutes and quads hard enough. So
exactly, a little
there's
dip.
no change in joint angle, but
deadlift, 2.5 times your body weight. I hit questionable.
You kind of hit it.
So I went with the hex bar today, which we're going to discuss that a little bit later. I hit 2.5 times body weight, but the handles are like this much higher on the hex bar I use, so I'm going to have to do it again with a lower handle.
I think he's already 5'5", so.
Frank talked me into it.
Did a block pull.
I didn't want to do it. It was basically a block pull. He's right. What else is on there? Press, sled.
Oh, yeah, the Prowler one looked miserable.
So
body weight for, 1040s?
10 40-yard sled pushes with your body weight in a 15-minute span. So we're going to have to hit the streets, hit the park one day. By
That's
the end
going
of this
down for
month.
sure. We'll probably do that as a group.
7-minute mile.
Get multiple people doing it. Anybody the same?
Yo,
let us know.
Contact them, Frank Donley. 7-minute mile. I was one.
7-minute mile.
I'll probably test
There's
that.
another conditioning test too.
Oh, Aerodyne bike, which we don't have. But that's it though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, that's where I'm going. In addition to that, I've been throwing some intervals in on the weekend. So we were away in good old Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and I ran Saturday and Sunday. Just a farm town, basically, but you get out on the streets a little bit. And anyway, serious.
How hard are you working on the higher end with intervals?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think when I first started, probably about an 8-minute mile pace. So, but then now I think I whittled that down a bit. But now
what percentage is that? What do you think you could run if you really had to? You think you could hit the 7-minute mile?
I think I
6:30?
I could hit a 7-minute mile right now, I think. Only because I've done the interval 6 times.
Yeah.
If I didn't do the first time I did, I probably would have thrown up and not made it.
So he's a runner now, basically, is what we're talking about.
Twice a week. Anyway, the mind has been incredible. Good benefits from the interval stuff, man. I'm trying to
Are you
convince
talking
Frank.
about mental clarity?
Yeah, I'm
Cognition,
talking about
better
getting your mind right.
better cognitive function, or are you just feeling better?
Feeling better.
Endorphins. I did notice he's working out a lot more, and he is saying that he's able to work out more because he started doing that.
Work capacity, I think, has improved. Recovery. Well, who gave you that?
She finally likes me.
But anyway, yeah, the interval stuff has been a huge, huge help. Basically, what I'm doing, 4 minutes going as hard as I can, and then I'm resting for 3 minutes, and then I'm repeating that 4 times. It's 20, I think it's 25 total minutes. Add in a warm-up, add in a little bit of a cool down, and you're done in like 40 minutes or less. Bam, that's that. What are you doing? What do you recommend for conditioning? Somebody asks you. Client coming in.
To do for conditioning? I recommend people walk, man. Hike, walk through the woods.
So you're getting into that right now.
Yeah.
Weather's
Just trying
getting
to
nice.
amp it up, trying to get some miles in. Last couple weekends, we hit Glenanoco, Mount Tanami,
Where's your favorite spot?
Pinnacle.
Pinnacle?
Glenanoco's cool, but it's shorter. It's only like 3.5 miles if you don't do the overview, but it's just got really cool waterfalls and a decent climb. It's only like an hour.
Got a little distraction here.
No worries.
So we're going hiking. How long? Somebody wants to come and get in better shape. What do you tell them? 30, 60? Just go
Yeah.
for a walk after dinner?
Walk till you're sick of walking.
Yeah, works for me.
I think it's one of the things you can do for like longevity reasons until you're dead. So, barring any major injury, like people should just keep walking, man.
And
Like
there's-
running, I think everybody has a retiring age. So like your body mileage is gonna add up. You're gonna have issues. You're probably gonna have to stop running at some point. People like walking. You can walk. Hopefully you can walk ever.
So I fell into the running trap a couple years ago. You just, you run whatever, 20 minutes, then 20 becomes 25, and you just keep
So where do you go
cranking
from
it
there
up
though? You know,
until your body breaks down, then you stop.
it's like
which
half
is pretty much
marathon,
what
marathon.
happens.
So at some point you would just
Ultra marathon. David
Goggins embrace the darkness.
That's not Goggins.
Who's that?
That's Jocko.
Chaka.
David Goggins taking souls, bro.
Taking souls.
But anyway,
Extremely
intervals.
motivational individual. David Goggins. Check him out. Chris doesn't believe him, but
No, I do. The interval stuff, I think, is going to help me stay healthy long term too. Because you're going pretty high, so your running form's pretty good, and you add some hills in there, and then you.
if I was going to run, I would definitely run intervals.
Hills seems.
I would like to
well,
sprint
too.
and then like chill.
Yeah.
Not really
Sprinting's
into
rough,
the jogging game.
But I guess at the end of the day too, you want to acclimate yourself to whatever you're going to do. So if you do sprint, you're going to have to like walk first and then jog first and then
Yeah, for sure. Have like a logical progression. And just like minor stuff will put you out of the game for a while too if you do too much. A lot of people use it as like barefoot training shoes and stuff, and they start with too much volume and then they're wrecked for a long period of time.
Yes. But this goes to...
But I think people that get hooked to running, it's mostly because of the endorphins afterwards. They just feel good after they're done.
But the walking stuff, too, just fits with the non-exercise activity stuff that I think we were kind of talking about
Activities
today.
of daily living and stuff?
Yeah, so it's like you have a couple ways that you could burn calories throughout the day. Working out. Your daily just energy expenditure.
For eating?
Sitting on the couch all
It's
day.
like thermodynamic effect of eating or something?
Yeah, the thermic effect of eating, digesting food, you're burning calories. And then I guess there's 4. There's just, if you laid on the couch all day and did nothing, you're still going to burn.
Basal metabolic rate.
Boom. Thermic effect of food, exercise, and then your non-exercise activities.
Yeah.
Parking far away,
Walking,
whatever.
taking the stairs.
I think that
If
is
you're trying to burn
a
calories.
huge chunk. Like you could work out for an hour every day, but if you sit in an office, not going to get great results or benefits out of it. So
Well, that's what they used to always say, though. Yeah. You can't just 10, 12 hours a day sit at a desk and then think you're going to solve that problem with 30 minutes of working out twice a week, you know?
no,
Like, it has to be a component of it, but there's got to be more to it.
I think there's a
More
little.
pieces of the puzzle.
So that's probably the key too. Then general fitness stuff, get moving first,
Yeah.
and then from there you could add intensity and all that.
I would, yeah, definitely.
But do you want to go? We got to get into that deadlift talk we were talking about earlier today.
Deadlifting?
Yeah. So basically, what I was saying,
Chris loves the deadlift.
I'm asking Frank. We talked about this already.
Chris hates deadlifting.
Just because it's too much of a grind. I like the fast twitch.
He has SI joint pain. That's the real reason. It's not because it's too much of a grind.
Yeah,
Because you could just lift lighter loads faster and it wouldn't be a grind.
You're right. That being said,
You know what
I use a higher handle. No, I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I just reduce other stuff faster, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying the like duration of the actual session because you have to take longer breaks?
No, I just never use the hex bar for power, per se.
Hex was actually better for power than the regular bar.
Yeah.
Hex bar. So basically, we were talking about with the deadlift. We're big advocates for the hex bar. There's several reasons why we're big advocates. The first one is it probably has a lower injury rate. The reason for that, if you're standing inside the bar instead of behind the bar, there's a shorter lever on the horizontal plane. So basically, there's less shear force on the spine, I would call it. So I think for the majority of people, it's safer. For people that are super knee dominant, depending on your shin angle, you can start beginners in there. Then there's a learning curve to get it more of a hip hinge movement instead of like a squatty motion. But there's a lot of arguments out there that saying it's just better for power development in general for athletes because you can move bigger loads faster. So I think it's multifaceted. But that being said, like, I mean, a lot of people that talk trash on it, I think, are just like powerlifters. So if you're a powerlifter, obviously you need to be able to pull on the specific bar that you're going to be tested on that day for your 3 lifts, you know? So I think the hex bar for the general population, for the athletic population, even for whatever, say, secondary lifts and things like that for powerlifters, it's still a great form of the deadlift.
Yeah, which the conversation we had was like, if I could feel good lifting heavy loads with the handle being like literally 1 inch higher.
Shouldn't you just do it?
Like, yes, basically.
Yeah.
Like, who said you have to go? Does the benefit of going to a straight bar or lowering the handles, is that benefit going to outweigh the risk or the potential
Depends
risk
on the individual,
of
though,
getting
right?
hurt? If you compete in something, you're
Like, because you
obviously-
want to be able to do something too, you know? Like, if you're incapable of doing that.
I guess over time.
Like, wouldn't you be working to that long term or not really?
I don't know.
To pull in full range of
That's what
motion?
it is. Like, man.
I mean, you can
that's
pull full range of
questionable,
motion
too.
because you pull kettlebell deadlifts that's even more of a deficit than a regular hex bar. So it's not necessarily the handle height.
It's the weight. It's the load.
It's the load with that handle head, I guess.
It's the load. Yeah, I think that's all it is then. So.
I would say no. If you feel good and you want to do all this other stuff in your life,
So
like
would
run and you want to do other stuff,
So do I have to go to that lower handle? Probably not.
should you if you want to hit the challenge and the standard? Yes.
Or
Or if you don't feel it.
Or if like just a natural progression type thing, like maybe you should be able, if you could lift 225 at the low handles without pain, the progression would be to try to do 315 and then 405 and then so on and so forth.
At the
Like,
lower handles.
At the lower handles. Like if you could physically handle the load, like you said with the kettlebell deadlift, like then why wouldn't you try to master a heavier load at that handle? But then I guess it's what do you want to
You can, but I think
accomplish.
it depends what you suck at too and stuff like that. Because you can say, you can have someone pull from lower handles if they suck at like driving the ground away and using their quads to start the lift. and they're just super hip dominant, so their hips just fly through. Whereas if you start at a higher hander, you might be able to like initiate, the emphasis of people that stall out later in that lift. So the emphasis is more on just your hips driving through. If you're really good off the ground, because technically it should be like, Well, it depends how you want to deadlift too, man. There's no like sets,
No.
It's like everybody has different levers and anatomically is different. So you got to kind of find out what works individually for each person, and that might be constantly tweaked though over the weeks, over the months, over the years. Because my deadlift right now looks way different than it used to be.
Yeah. And as long as you're doing something, like you could have 5 people deadlifting, and it could be 5 different exercises just based off of their body type and.
And it's kind of strange in a gym setting when there's multiple people because people are like, oh, I'm not doing it that way. Is that wrong? I'm like, no, it's not wrong.
I know.
It's just we're working on this. But people can't understand that it's not a cookie cutter thing.
So you're talking about power.
So yes, I think does the reward outweigh the risk, I guess, is what we were talking about though, basically.
Personally,
so if every time you go lower, you get hurt, it's not worth going lower.
And it's like
you're still getting stronger if you're loading it up from a higher, from a higher position.
Yeah, which is where I want to kind of pivot to and go with the power development part of it, where you'd see, at least I would, I don't know if you've seen anything, but just having a higher hip and building some strength through like that positioning, not to say
has more of a crossover into athletic performance
to power development
for
a power test.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going to full range of motion is ideal, say in a squat or something like that. But the one.
So do you think it's more technical based of just how to start that lift, and then you would be in that position anyway? Where it's still a hip hinge.
But I would,
is that
no, just kind of like in terms of pure power, I guess you don't. This is where it's going to get dicey because it's going to sound like I'm saying you don't want to go to full range of motion, but there's been.
I preach full range of motion pretty much everything though.
But like
I squat deep, I press full range of motion, I do everything
I've only
full range of motion.
caught wind of it. Yeah, same. But but
there is some research out there suggesting like partial box squats and things like that.
Quarter squats in that Triphasic book.
Yeah.
Cal Dietz, where they're banging. I forget what he calls them, speed squats maybe, where they're loading it up and they're not going to full depth, but they're just going to like that power position and just blasting reps out in a certain amount of time.
That's all kinematic based on the angles they're creating.
Yeah. I don't think they're using a box as a reference point. I think they're just going to, I don't know, they just know, I guess, where to go. But anyway,
no, I don't mean based on base. I just mean, yeah.
So I'm wondering, I just don't know off the top of my head, would you be able to get more of a power improvement, say, over 6 weeks?
If you already about limit, I know power development, but if you're limiting range of motion, what if your body's required to go through that range of motion at some point? Wouldn't it be a more functional component if you were able to do a full motion?
Yeah, I do.
Like, would it be long-term healthy to squat only quarter squats?
No.
So you're saying as a tool or as possibly part of a program that would be implemented
to boost your vertical jump? Maybe.
To long-term do that, or do that for like a month?
6 weeks.
Okay.
Say you got 6 weeks, you're going to a combine or something like that.
I don't personally do it. I don't really like it, but I can see what you're saying.
I'm diving into this.
All right, let's go, bro.
I'm circling this. I'm researching it. We'll be coming back. Triphasic training book. I'll be reading that.
Triphasic book is pretty cool though because it brings up a lot of the things like eccentric load. Has people slowing down, which I think a ton of great stuff comes out of eccentric load. Besides just like building more muscle mass, but like as far as like being able to dissipate force and stuff.
It's an incredible book. Talking to a coach today, Steph. 1st and 2nd grade lacrosse coach.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, hey.
Head coach.
She's the head coach for sure. I was going to say head effing coach, but HFC.
The baby's gone, you're good?
She's like, you know what? We've got to get them in a defensive position. Basically, I was thinking, they're 1st and 2nd grade, remember? Basically, that red light, green light game. Accelerate, decelerate, re-accelerate. And I'm like, that's pretty much that Triphasic book is summed up in that way because if you look, I don't have a whiteboard around here, but basically if you have this power curve that goes from this point to this point and it goes like this, like a long loop, that's going to take, say, 1 second. But if you're this athlete inside that curve, then you could go from here to here in a shorter amount of time. So you could decelerate and accelerate in a quicker amount of time. You're going to beat your opponent to the ball. That's like sports summed up in a nutshell. Me and Frank have the same amount of speed, but if I could slow my body down and re-accelerate, I'm going to beat him to the ball every time. So if you're looking purely like 40-yard dash time, whatever. Long story short, this was a coach that was just watching 1st and 2nd graders playing and was like, you know what? Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool in the sense that she was like, she kind of saw what was going on and then wanted to drill it. And I'm like, literally, you could start drilling that stuff now because there's huge carryover.
But so what if the sports is so specific, like a 100-yard dash? Then you wouldn't have the eccentric load. You would just focus primarily.
Well, there's relax and contract in that, though, too.
What phases do that in?
I guess the acceleration part? I don't know. But like every stride has a relax component as well, too, right? I mean, the muscle contracts and relax, relax. So I think your ability to move through that faster is going to affect your speed. Don't you think?
Yeah. It's interesting to think about, like, how it would be different specific to each sport, though. Like, if you're in a sport where you have to change direction frequently, so if you have to accelerate, decelerate, stop, and reaccelerate multiple, like, most sports are like that. But there are sports where, like,
the front foot has to
top speed is going to hit it.
Like, when that thing hits the ground, there's a deceleration
and then it has to fire quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think...
so the eccentric load actually builds the ability to refire as well? Or
the eccentric load will make your absorption more efficient and faster. So you could do your triphasic, eccentric, and isometric stuff. You could train that in the weight room by slowing down your tempo. Hopefully that you'll see that carryover then on the field. So like what that first grade lacrosse coach was saying, she wanted to train it out on the field. Perfect for first and second grade. Sprint to a spot, work on breaking down and slowing yourself down and coming to a stop. But as you get older and you're in the weight room, you could take some of those triphasic components from the book and train it in the weight room where you don't actually have to go out to the field.
Yeah.
And you could still get some eccentric loading.
Yeah.
And then you progress to power then. You're doing speed. Like I was saying with those quarter squats, they're focused on eccentrics, they're focused on isometrics where you're getting to a spot and holding it, deep squat.
Pause, yeah.
Hold it for 3, come up. Move it. Your intent's always to move it as fast as possible. And then the next block might be speed block. Where
and probably the more advanced you get in athletics, the safer it is to train it in that manner too. So if you get some of the carryover from the weight room, it's safer than necessarily getting it from the field, you know? The injury rate would be way lower. And
these guys, the higher you get, the stronger these athletes get. So it gets to that whole strong enough thing too, where they might already have such a good, strong baseline, or they've been a 10-year veteran in a sport. They don't need to be pounding and beating themselves up. They can maybe use some lighter loads, mess with the tempo, and still get a good training response.
This is kind of what we're talking about, different training modalities too. When we were talking about, your girl was talking about blood restriction training the other day.
Yeah.
Which is basically having almost like tourniquets on the arm or the legs. She said they were doing full like body movements like we train, but I've seen it used more so in like isolation or like bodybuilding movements. But you get a great hormonal response and a lot of things. But I think that's more geared to the same thing where these athletes already say you have an NFL receiver that's already super strong based on their body weight, and they're in season, so they're already taking all this pounding and playing games and practicing. So they want to sustain as much lean muscle mass as possible, as well as sustain all these properties and not add wear and tear. So if you can get a great training stimulus with basically less work, then it's a win.
And I think for those guys too, it's like it doesn't. They've been at it so long that they don't need to continue to.
If they're not there, they're probably.
If they're maintaining it, so like if you're not regressing physically, I think that's probably ideal. I mean, especially in season.
Yeah.
Like off season stuff.
Well, especially at that level, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like younger athletes, though,
high school kids,
a lot of high school kids can actually progress during seasons.
Yeah, but the high school kid, like when I was coaching, kids would get beat up too.
Football.
Yeah, football.
Yeah.
Shoulders,
Football's
wrists.
a different animal in
general.
general.
So it's like you want to do some hang
Depends on the sport too, but I wouldn't do that.
Right. It's not even smart to.
Yeah, but a safety squat bar.
Not wrong with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Jumps,
it depends on the prescription completely, and it depends on I would say like prescription too, because like as far as in-season training goes, you might be able to still work up. I would recommend working up to a high intensity, but I would just slash the volume. So like if you usually rule of 10 them, like have them do, we usually you would do 5 heavy doubles during the off season as the strength work up to a like one set of really good double or 2 sets of really good doubles, and not doing as much volume, because I think that's how you like sustain or progress too.
I don't remember what it was exactly. It was Dan John's recommendation was to cut volume by 2.
Love it already, bro.
Basically, I think it was use 2/3 of what your normal volume would be
for the in season.
In season.
I'll go slightly lower than that, but
right. That's why I think it could have been. But anyway, then you got to convince kids doing 2 sets of 5 of something maybe is okay instead of
But more is not always better.
No.
Maybe it's a hard argument in the beginning to start with.
It's all risk reward, I guess. Everything comes back to. We talked about it with the deadlift. We talked about it with the NFL guys, the blood flow stuff, which is interesting because everything that not that I've researched it.
This is just a specific case too. I'm not saying all NFL teams are doing that. It's just like that kid from Liberty, Devin Street. That was what he was saying he was doing while I was with the Dallas Cowboys.
I was surprised.
It's probably super dependent on Because every place is going to have a different strength coach and different things too, and they might not even be doing that anymore. That was like 5 years ago. So I just thought it was interesting when I heard wind of that.
Well, too, like if he was there 5 years ago, like the Giants guy that I was talking about this morning, they weren't doing that stuff. Like all these high school coaches are in there trying to get this, the great his name's Jerry Palmieri. He's been there for who knows how long. He was with Tom Coughlin with the Giants, so that's at least a 15-year run. I think he's still with them. Anyway, he's probably a strength coach for like 30-plus years. It was the most boring programming stuff ever because he's already dealing with high-level people. He wants to keep them healthy, keep them on the field,
because
try to get something out of them.
Yeah,
like in the weight room. Guys,
like back to Dan John too. Like the first rule of being a strength coach is do no harm.
Yeah.
So if you're putting these kids in season or off season in a situation where they're gonna
just grind,
develop chronic overuse injuries or have an acute actual injury, like I'm not saying it happens, but like you're a bad coach.
I've seen that a few times. They just want to kill people, kill them. Stadiums lift for 75
minutes. It comes back
minutes.
to the same argument, though. Like, anybody can train somebody. Anybody can make somebody tired. Anybody can make somebody sore. Like, a coach has to try to make them better.
So
that's from a movement standpoint. That's from a programming standpoint. That's from actually teaching them and conveying, how to move, how to train, how to recover, how to do all these things.
And if they don't know how to teach it, then they're just going to kill them, basically, because they don't know
that's
what else.
Because they want them to lay on the ground sweaty and, almost vomiting.
And it's like, you got to get lower on the squat. Well, maybe they physically can't.
Yeah.
So,
but maybe if they let them work to the lowest and then they did that for 3 months, they would naturally develop an ability to keep tension and their mobility would increase.
I've heard something about that. It's called coaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's coaching. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Sorry for interrupting. I think I kind of stole something like that.
You can interrupt me anytime, bro.
So that's that, man. Long-term
athletic development. So we're kind of talking about that already.
I'd like to start with the youngsters, man. I think it's fun. Doing some stuff this year, some summer stuff. Just put out this little article. It's hitting the local country club. Check it out soon. Anyway.
What's the name of the country club?
Saucon Valley. But
you got people watching from Cali, man.
True.
Let them know.
They might know.
Let them know.
LPGA was there.
No, I'm saying, but they wouldn't if I didn't tell you to tell them.
No, he's right.
You got to let them know, bro.
My fault. Hype it up. We're talking like 4 to 7 year olds. Basically, different phases and stuff. Long story short, young kids, medium age kids is probably not a real thing, but let's say 8 to 12, and then 12 and up, roughly. For like that first part here, where it's the foundational stuff. It's like running, standing on one leg, hopping, climbing, crawling.
You like it because there's more diversity, right? Because when they're at a younger age, you want to expose them to more movements in general. It's
like in the classroom, too, where you're kind of learning stuff. It's like expose the kids to like a huge amount of stuff. And then as they get older, you could start kind of
specify.
But so for that age group, like that's what we're talking about. So we're going to kind of create a program for kids of that age. Then you get to that 8 to 12 range, which is another great age to work with. You could start progressing some stuff in the sense that you could teach some more skill-based stuff and like talk to them, maybe not as adults, but you could kind of explain things to them in a way that they might understand. So movement skills, some lateral stuff. You don't want to go too technical like it's an Olympic sprint coach or something like that, but it's like you could start teaching some of that, and then you could start teaching some of like the foundational basic strength movements of squatting and doing things on one leg or some push-up stuff, chin-ups, climbing ropes. Like,
so you'd recommend that around 10 to 12?
Probably earlier. Kids
I would do it earlier.
No, I said 8 to 12.
8 to 12.
So like 4 to 7 maybe for that first.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There's definitely some.
Because some of that other,
Because at 12,
parents get freaked out about like swings and squats and like learning kettlebell deadlifts and stuff like that. But if you think about like a rope climb or a chin up or a body weight thing, a jump, even sprinting, like there's a lot going on there with a lot of force. You
watch a kid on a playground, the stuff that they're doing there compared to what they would. This weight room's probably safer if they're getting good coaching. They're not jumping off monkey bars and.
I might have told you this. Number one injury in a weight room.
What is it?
Foot injury from dropping a plate on your foot from not paying attention, bro.
I believe it. For kids or everybody?
Everybody. Remember that.
Now you know. Frank Donley.
It's like your boy Oatmeal dropping that plate on his toe.
He was out for
a while. Just don't do it.
It had one person in.
Kid brings the hips like no other, though.
4 or 5 years.
Listen to your podcast.
Yeah, shout out to Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
And then once we get
shout out to the whole Central lacrosse team, right?
Yeah, man.
Bring it back. Districts, let's go.
12 and above, roughly, generally speaking, we could teach them weight room stuff.
For sure.
But I think, too, if parents are concerned about things, you just don't have to do them.
Yeah.
Kettlebell swing, deadlift, whatever. They don't want to do them, fine. Do a different hinge. Figure something. Single leg
So
RDL.
what would you do then? Jump?
Single leg RDL. Still RDLing. Still deadlift.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's ways around it. Not to say you want to trick parents.
For sure, but like, what is the kid going to get more out of? I mean, I get it what you're saying too. As a parent, it is what it is. You have to be on the same level with the athlete and the parent.
It's totally fine if a parent has concerns.
Yeah.
But I guess you could talk to
them. But I would try to
about
convey what the importance of doing what I want them to do is.
But just don't turn it into an ego match, I guess, and say,
I know, that's the problem.
You come here, we're doing this.
Too egotistical for sure.
I didn't want to say it, but...
She called me a guru the other day and offended me.
I know, which is interesting. But that was guru-like, whatever you said to me. Guys, so 12 years old, whatever, we just said that. And then, like we were talking about with the glass, get older, you could start whittling away. Not to really encourage, specializing in a given sport, but, I think if a kid does get to 16, 17, whatever, and they want to maybe start focusing, that's okay. I just think the more you expose them to younger, and I think there's also carryover. So if you're playing basketball and you play lacrosse, there's passing lanes involved, there's playing defense, there's juking, there's jab stepping, all that stuff shows up in both sports. There's some carryover.
I just think a lot of kids are multi-sport athletes from a young age just develop a more extensive motor vocabulary, and it's just called on, like, even when they specialize, then they're just going to be better equipped to deal with any situation.
Exactly.
No matter what sport they decide to go with, if that's...
Expose them to everything.
Yeah.
Things that focus on jumping, sprinting, hand-eye coordination.
Jumping, sprinting, rolling, tumbling, climbing.
Cartwheeling?
Cartwheeling for sure. You can get kids excited. You want to get kids excited? Start doing cartwheels. Handstands.
Forward rolls?
Yeah.
Backwards?
Your kid was busting out backflips.
Who?
Cole. Last year.
Oh,
remember?
yeah.
He was athletic.
That's Wolfie's training now.
That's true.
So, and then, you get older. You could whittle it down. Start specializing if you want. Not necessarily something that I would encourage, but if you got you want to get...
extent you're specializing.
Trying to win a state championship and you're a backup football player, and say you want to win a state title in wrestling, you're a backup football player, whatever. Your decision, I guess. But that football skills... Those football skills might have got you to where you are, too, on the wrestling mat. So, and then the other way around, too.
You think there's a lot of kids out there that would be up for a state title in wrestling that are that bad at football that they're not starting?
Probably not. Unless they weighed 106 pounds. Or you had a Division I quarterback in front of you and you're a backup. You'd be playing tight end.
You'd be playing somewhere else.
Playing tight end.
Exactly. That's just proving our point, though. That getting exposed to more things at a younger age is better.
Yep, so do it, parents. People ask often.
Get them involved. Let them try anything they like, run with it. If they hate it, make them finish the season and let them quit, man. I don't know.
At least weekly, somebody's asking about that stuff.
Yeah.
And the answer sounds simple. Just have them do everything.
Yeah.
Deal.
They might, yeah. Develop as many skills as possible. Develop as many patterns as possible. Have fun with it. Especially at the younger age, let's say just have as much fun as you can with it.
And then the movement vocabulary.
Because you want them to have an association with it that's good. With sport, you want a positive training association. You want a positive sport association at a young age to keep these kids developing. Especially with the way the culture has gone with less like physical activity for kids. In my opinion, less kids are outside like playing and climbing trees, whereas they're playing video games and stuck on their phones. So I think sport is becoming even more important to a healthy development for a kid. And you just learn cool things like character and all that kind of stuff. Hard work.
Teamwork.
There's no I in team, bro.
No.
There's an I in Chris. Remember that.
There is, you're right. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Vocabulary was the term Frank used, and it's probably ideal.
Motor vocabulary?
Yeah. Boom. That's it. Training the core.
All right,
Training the core.
We're going to talk about this because we hear, I used to hear it more at LA Fitness, but people always want to train the core or do abs or do this kind of stuff. And the way I kind of look at it is, a lot of people say that because they have body fat around their core like I do, I think, So I don't think I think there's more effective ways to stimulate, the lymphatic system to get body fat reduction and using big bang movements with a bigger caloric hit and this kind of stuff than isolating muscles of the core. I think the core training is important, but I don't think it's important really for 3 different ways. So I think the core should be trained through anti-extension, anti-rotation, like the whole stuff like that. Pavlov's anti-extension should be like an ab wheel, and then anti-flexion, so the motion from the side. Because I think the core should be more trained as like this mechanism of like protection of the actual spine. I think doing a lot of things like maybe even like sit-ups and stuff like that might target direct muscle where you're going to get a burn, but that might actually bring you into a position of flexion instead of being in a neutral spine position. So I think anything training the spine should kind of be focused on keeping the spine stable. Does that make sense?
Total sense, and I agree 100%. So you're not doing anything. You want this to be stable. You're running, walking, whatever. If you're loose in here, like just imagine walking around with like this kind of loose posture. You're probably going to end up getting some issues down the road. But if you can train this to be stable, then like everything else I think is going to function properly. Your lower body gait, if there's no weak link, if there's like no link or weakness in the chain in your spine, it's probably going to just help your gait.
One piece,
I'm just going to say,
And just like you just want all your pieces to work together. So like if you have strong legs, like you just need the body, one piece. We steal everything's stolen in this industry, so we steal that from Dan John. But you want your body to work as one synergistic unit. But you want so as far as your core, like to transfer energy or to do whatever, to absorb force, for postural, just for like daily life, you want to make it work as one synergistic unit. So you don't want it to be a bunch of compartmentalized little segments. You want that sucker to be like stable,
Yeah.
Like if you have a weak core, you're probably weak.
And I don't think the energy, like you were saying, is going to be transferred as efficiently and good if you have any kind of weakness in there. So
and there would be more likely to be injured, I believe.
To be like stable and strong, almost in a straight line, as opposed to any kind of rounding and energy. I think,
especially in the lumbar spine.
Yeah, I mean it's.
And then we were talking about this earlier about deadlifters, like elite level deadlifters. A lot of them have a thoracic flexion, but I think it's just to create a mechanical advantage, so they got to pull the weight less.
The special.
But I think but the other thing we're talking about is during a lot of things you don't want the position to change during it, right? Is where a lot of injury occurs. So if you're under load and it's staying in that position the whole time, you're less likely to get injured.
Was being stable.
And they just have so much. A lot of those people have like a bunch of body armor built around those spots that the muscles just like. I mean, they just look thick in the upper backs. A lot of people are pulling around the back, And it's harder to see with people with thick upper backs too.
They just look like a hunchback almost.
Yeah.
Stability, being stable, and then not training the core in a way that is
unilateral stability or core,
stable,
core stability,
as opposed to creating motion like crunches. Like the core's not supposed to, the spine's not supposed to be constantly creating motion with different bendings and whatnot. It should just be stable and strengthen the muscles around it, I think, and you probably should be hopefully healthy.
So a lot of things we would prescribe
in the
are
long
like,
run.
Yeah.
It's planks,
anti-rotation,
guys.
but like static stuff.
It's
variations
walking,
of
like
planks.
Weight in one hand, suitcase walk, weight in two hands. Keep
all of them, though. They're all loaded carries
weight
are
overhead.
like walking planks.
Yeah, because you're doing that every day. So build some strength in it. Side
you
planks.
should be able to load that stuff up. Side planks are great. Stu McGill, big three is what? The McGill crunch. What do you call that?
Curl up.
McGill curl up, which is interesting. The side plank and the bird dog.
Right. So you got rotary side-to-side stability.
Correct.
You've got anti-lateral flexion with the side plank.
Correct.
And then you just got a deep isometric.
Yeah.
Pretty much abdominal.
Static contraction.
Yeah.
Right?
Just squeezing and holding.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah. Because a lot of these things are going to teach you how to keep tension too.
Yeah.
So
carry over.
Tension is the name of the game. Some might love time under tension. Your dad.
Shout out to
Glenn. Bodybuilders everywhere. Keep it under time under tension.
Tut. Yep, there you go.
Get him.
Time under tension.
Get him.
Cool. These next few things. No, man. Wait, we're good, right? Be stable in the core. Don't do sit-ups, crunches, all that stuff. Work some planks in the mix. You progress things from forearm plank to an ab wheel to some other crazy thing where you're extending yourself out and just resisting stuff.
Yeah, I just did a video on that too. If you can hold a 2-minute push-up plank, you can probably do harder stuff. Probably body solve I would go before roll out. I would probably start with Pavlovs and all that stuff from the beginning because you can do diverse load. Start with a low load. Start gradually adding. You can do that from different positions.
Yep.
Half kneeling position, tall kneeling position, standing positions. You can get some variation in it.
Single leg.
We tried this. I've from being morbidly obese and I have a lot of ankle injuries, so I have been rolling my ankles on trails. Start trying to amp up my hiking, and I was asking Chris what I should do because we're talking about like how important the actual foot is to lifting, so the tripod and how to lift. But people always talk about like power toes. So even in that position in lifting, that you should be trying to like find your big toe and dig it in. So I think a lot of things with hiking, walking, that's important too, is to have weight distribution there. Whereas the way I develop my weight's all on the outsides of my feet, which isn't necessarily correct. So I'm like this, and then my ankles constantly roll out. So we're looking at things as
E version.
Yeah. E version, yeah.
Right.
But I need to switch it back. So I need to develop musculature in a different pattern.
Do you
that
think,
would overcompensate from that? But do you think my tendons are just or my connective tissue is just damaged too? So you think it's just more susceptible and it's more like how many times can you really sprain an ankle and have it come? It's never going to come back to 100%. So if I do it multiple times, at some point it's just
more susceptible.
More susceptible.
Like you hear about the shoulder popping out.
Yeah, once it does it once, it's going to keep doing it.
And more likely to happen each time, I think. And I don't know if the ankle's like that, but it sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
Like if you're constantly doing that.
Yeah.
Freaking Oatmeal.
Especially because it's always the same sprain, you know?
Oatmeal rolled his ankle too.
Oh, yeah.
Another shout out to him.
This is better though, right?
Fell over a few times in the gym.
But doing like strange things, like just jumping rope and stuff.
Yeah,
like not even like an uneven surface.
Yeah. Something to keep an eye on. So basically how to train that. We're standing on one leg. You've been doing a lot of stuff. Like if you could picture, I don't want to say Frank was doing calf raises, but doing a lot of stuff like this straight on. But now we're starting to talk about trying to get more stable side to side.
Yeah.
Trying to build some strength on this.
I've done some mobility stuff where I guess so if you're going through a normal gait pattern in different angles of the foot, you're building strength in those places.
Yeah, stability is strength, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Maybe just maybe
that's
for
what
those hikes.
I gotta start getting on that balance pad and doing different things to it.
Wouldn't if you
it's got to be that
train-
constant, like it's got to be
Balance pad will work, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you train that stuff in normal sneakers or barefoot, when you go
Barefoot's
for a hike,
the way to go, right? Superior.
why don't you try to solidify the ankle with a different shoe? If that's where you're rolling your ankles, like literally only hiking, maybe you might just need like this much help.
Yeah.
Because you're still training to improve it, but then maybe in the short term you might just want to.
So I can keep hiking for the whole
It's
season.
like the guys that tape their ankles for every game.
Yeah.
They think that it might help them. I don't know. Some high tops.
High tops. I have some like hiking boots and stuff.
Do you wear them or no?
I do.
And it still happens.
Yeah.
All right, never mind my idea.
But I could do like some sort of there's like low key, like
only if you're gonna bang
Jake's
a
braces,
serious like a serious hike. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it'll help. Because if that's
but I'm barefoot training all the time. You think about it.
I know you've been for years.
Yeah, which my feet are way better than they used to be for sure. Like I feel like I have like good ground contact and stuff.
Yeah. Maybe you need more time,
just
man.
during hiking. Maybe I'm just not good. Maybe I'm just not good at hiking.
Maybe you need to see a specialist.
Maybe we should shut it down. Nah,
don't.
No way. Not once, not never, bro.
Just need an easier trail, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't
do that.
I don't like it. I mean, I don't just want to walk on the
we got
gravel
some
path, bro.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't know about this one.
True.
I basically took a bunch of notes down here without telling Frank what we're going to talk about, just to catch him off.
Let's
off
go.
guard. Boom. Biggest loser.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
National Institute of Health did a study. 6 years after season 8, nearly every contestant gained the bulk of their weight back. Basically, the system is a failed construct. Get on some kombucha.
I'm listening.
All right. The system is a failed construct. People are setting these goals. People could lose 20 pounds, but if it's not their target goal of 60, they're going to be upset about it. But yet they're 20 pounds lighter.
So they
They should be happy.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's a mindset thing. Rapid weight loss.
So
Metabolic.
they need to have more realistic short-term goals.
One part of it. The rapid weight loss situation is causing metabolic damage. Losing
100%.
massive amounts of weight in a short amount of time.
You're probably
It's
losing
gonna
some
ruin
lean
you.
muscle mass, and your hormones are probably jacked. So you're probably producing cortisol out the.
So
Your hormone profile gets completely wrecked, right?
destroyed.
Yeah.
And when they're at
So you're
rest,
shutting down your metabolism too.
the stuff
All
we were
kinds of stuff's
talking
happening.
about, the
your body wants to store fat. Sorry.
So the non-exercise activities or your basal metabolic rate for those that lost massive amount of weight compared to other people of say the same body type is going to be slower because of the damage they did by losing all that weight. Whereas that other person that didn't have that drastic weight cut, their body just functions a little bit more efficiently in terms of that regard.
Well, you said this is the biggest loser.
Just people that was the
That study is.
It-
But think
it
about
is.
how much of theirs is completely drastic weight loss. It's basically their only calories are being burned are in the gym.
well that was the only.
So how realistic is that to have that as a lifestyle?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's like this guy that wrote the article. So the biggest loser is what kind of started off the article, and then it went into some of these other studies. But we talked about the mindset going into this stuff, and he talked about the like a marathon example where this guy was a runner, and let's say I'm a runner, and it's like he said, what if running success was based on participating in the Boston Marathon, where only a handful of people do this each year, a percentage of the population. So if you set your goals to be able to lose 100 pounds, he was equating that to running a marathon in the sense that if I'm a runner and if I don't qualify for Boston, does that mean I'm just going to quit and not try to improve?
Be healthy,
or
be
not
a better
even,
runner.
Yeah, something like that. So it's like, it's like this whole, people lost weight, but they still thought they were a failure for some reason because they didn't hit their target. And it's, at the end of it too, like, they get disappointed, then they quit. And then if they did lose weight because of that whole mindset thing, they're probably going to gain it back. And the same with that rapid weight loss situation. I was talking about people were gaining, I think, say you drop 60, people are going to gain 9 to 17 pounds in a year is what they found in one of the studies, where it's like, you do the math on that, and it's like if you're gaining 17 pounds, it's, 4 to 5 years, and you got all the weight back on. And then if you're going to keep doing that.
Rolling, yeah.
So these people end up being heavier when you're getting to that 6-year, 8-year mark than they were initially. So, yeah, it's crazy, man.
What do you think the biggest flaw? Like what happened? So do you think it's 100% mindset?
Well, I think that.
Or do you think there's actual
this guy,
like responses from your body?
Unfortunately, the article. Well, I guess he summed it up with this: embrace reality and imperfection. So he's like, guys, I don't want to say long, huge weight loss. I don't want to say it's not possible. It is, but you also have to embrace reality in the sense that, like, it's going to take a long time. And 10 pounds, if you lose 5% of your body weight, that's awesome. But you still might be 150 pounds overweight. Yeah. But you're 5% lighter than you were, and you just got to keep kind of chipping away. And you're going to have to accept the fact that, like, it's not going to be a pretty thing.
This is American culture too. You want to know. You got to think people that are like, if you're 150 pounds overweight, you probably didn't get 150 pounds overweight over a month or a 3-month period.
And it wasn't diet and weight loss that got them. So for some other people on different stuff that they were talking about was like, dieting. It's not just about dieting and working out. It's like the people that had success just developed a whole new lifestyle. Yeah. Which is habits, I imagine, and stuff like that, and maybe having some discipline.
That's funny because I thought a lot of it would be like nutritional intake and what those habits would be the most important. I know, like, accumulating like physical activity throughout the day, like being a more active person every day for the rest of your life would be huge. But I would think nutrition would be a big staple of
it probably is in
long-term sustainable, like, weight loss, maintenance, all of them.
Well, it's got to be in the calorie debate, right? Like it's got to be a part of it.
Because like you can't just calorie restriction or calorie quality, but it has to be involved.
It is. No, it definitely is too. But it's just that, like,
because you can't keep just working out.
And it's also like there was no winner, no clear winner in the diet debate either. So calorie restriction, maybe eating the same amount of things, maybe cutting a meal. I don't know. Like, that seemed to work for people, and they accepted that as kind of the new norm, as opposed to, being super strict with the diet plan. Because then you might get that huge weight loss, and then it might not be sustainable either. So I don't know. Sustainability and adherence are obviously parts of the equation, but it was just kind of, it was a mindset thing, and it was not, I don't know, I guess not really, it was almost negative in the sense too, where it's, I guess the best way not to get 150 pounds, or the best
not to do it in the first place.
Not to do it, yeah.
But that's like, what you're going to say that to somebody that already did it? Like, we already made the mistake. You're going to throw it in my face now, bro?
Can't do that.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. But
that's why I try to push people not to go back to your initial. Well, you're more into intervals, which I believe in too. But I just do them in different ways with, like, prowlers and ropes and interval training and not rowing and things that are non-impact. But your daughter's super cute. But that's why I try to push people into, like, walking and hiking and strength training, because I think a lot of those attributes, not just building lean muscle mass, but the effect on not pushing your body into this state where it's pumping out, getting itself in a negative hormone profile is just long-term the best method for sustained and continued weight loss.
But you're encouraging a little bit of a lifestyle change too.
100%.
Which I think is what the article was saying, where you start incorporating some of that stuff in there. Yeah. You're probably going to get some long-term results, and it's something that you could do forever. Yeah. Like, you could walk forever almost. So.
How many people was in the Biggest Loser study then?
I don't know how many people are on the season. It just said.
So, but I mean, the season has to be a decent amount of people. I only watched one season, I think.
I would think 20 plus people.
And they control everything those people eat?
I think so.
And then they push duration and intensity, because they're, like, crushing their souls. And for hours and hours.
Taking souls, some might say.
Hey, your boy.
David Goggins.
David Goggins, bro.
You've been listening to him.
I've listened to him on Rogan. I haven't read. Chris is reading his book currently. Finished it.
Banged it
What's
out.
next?
1 week.
Sapiens?
No. El Narco.
El Narco.
I put that on pause. I was going to have a podcast with another guy. Didn't
Is that
work
about
out.
cocaine trafficking?
Basically.
Awesome. Sounds interesting.
It's the dude that was on Rogan, Johan Grillo, the author.
Oh.
It's his book. Yeah.
I would read that too. I was
it's good.
listening to him. He's got
It's
some
good.
super interesting stories.
But it was his first book. Goggins, what do you think, man? Taking souls is his thing.
I think he's one of the. If everything he says is true, I think he's one of the most driven, mentally tough people I've ever listened to. I mean, from the ultra marathon. I mean,
He did.
he changed he had a drastic change. So he'd be one of the people that he
was
dropped
100
100 pounds in what? 2 months?
I think 3.
3 months.
So he kind of goes
that's
against.
what a guy. And did you see him
He goes
lately?
against the grain.
Does he do any stability work?
He doesn't need to. He said.
This dude's jacked, basically. He's yoked.
But his thing was like 40%. He thinks human beings are only operating at 40% of their full potential, and it's our job. It's your job as an individual to push the boundaries and try to get past that.
Which is 100% true.
Callous your mind. He said
Yeah.
you're gonna have to, and the whole thing about embracing reality and imperfection. He's kind of a believer in the same thing, where it's like take a look in the mirror. You know, if you are 100 pounds overweight, you're gonna have to accept it, embrace reality, and start doing
deal
something
with it.
about it. Yeah.
Another interesting point. A lot of people about I always push the overtraining aspect of from a performance standpoint. So you could test somebody's power output, vertical leap or whatever grip strength, broad jump and stuff like that, and you could see it diminishing that. And I'd say that would be overtraining. But a lot of people have always preached there's no such thing as overtraining, blah blah blah. It's all mental. And then someone I've been following for a long time that actually said that has recently put himself into a state of rhabdomyolysis.
He had it
It's
at
kind of
least
proving
twice.
the point. He has still, right?
He had it running his first 100 miles.
So I would consider that overtraining.
Yeah, and he didn't.
What do
He
you
was
think?
of that
He
same
almost died
mindset.
that time, right?
And then he did rhabdo trying it the first 2 times he tried the pull-up record.
Yeah.
He got it and had to quit. He had to stop. So
His hands were already ripped. Did you see how ripped open his hands were?
That was gross.
Filippo ripped his hand a little bit doing the 30-second chin-up challenge the other day.
Really.
Yeah, but I'm seeing baby kidding compared to how peeled back David Goggins' hands were.
He was of that mindset, I think, too, with the overtraining stuff until he almost totally, he couldn't even run a mile at one point in his life. Then that's when I was telling you didn't believe me. He started stretching for 6 hours. He had these knots up in his head and in his
Was he in the
thorax.
military at this point?
No.
This is after that.
This was even
So what was
retirement.
he was just sitting
He
on
was
a
a
stack of
recruiter.
cash that he didn't have to work out?
No, he was a recruiter.
So he's still involved in the military.
Yeah. But I
But
think...
how many hours a day do you have to do that?
I think he had long hours. He was traveling. He was meeting with
And
people.
still stretching 6 hours a day.
He wasn't until...
He just wants it more than everybody
until
else.
he had to pull out of...
I guess that's his point. That's Gary Vee's point, right?
He had to pull out of...
You got to outwork everybody if you really want it. If you don't want it that bad, you're not going to do it.
Because most people live to 40% of their capabilities.
Yeah.
Bringing it back around.
So you agree with it?
Yeah.
I think it's true. It's a solid point.
But he changed his mind. So in the beginning of that book, I thought he was kind of BSing a lot when I told you that. But at the end of it, he kind of realizes that he had an ego in the beginning. He had a couple, I think, marriages that didn't work out. He overtrained himself, broke his body down, and he openly admitted, he wasn't a good team player when he was in deployed in Iraq. He wanted everybody getting up and hustling with him, and one guy might have done it.
But he also said the biggest reason he had so many problems with PT and stuff in the military was, or why the people didn't like him, was because he was such an a-hole for seeing people that were slacking and stuff. But in realization, that's him hating himself because he knows what that is like and that he's been like that in the past. So it's like him,
being frustrated.
It's like that
with him,
cycle.
Like he would.
No. Yeah, like he would be an a-hole to you because you weren't keeping up, but
Right.
it's because he sees himself in that manner because he's been there before and doesn't want to be there.
So he wasn't part of the
It's like
brother.
reflecting negative energy on you because of what he was.
Wasn't
I
part
think
of
that
the-
was one of his hindsight things too, though.
It was, yeah. He was like,
Yeah.
I wasn't part of the brotherhood, and he realized why.
Yeah.
And it was because of his attitude towards the other guys.
Yeah.
All was good, but they were able to handle their missions fine. But then at the end of the day, he didn't want to go out and drink beers and socialize. He wanted to stay focused and
Recover.
go train for 90 minutes.
Stretch for 60.
Go do
6
1,000.
hours.
Yeah. He wasn't doing that at that time, but he would
He
go
was
do 1,000.
strength training during the time he was losing all that weight too. But he said he was going hard.
Before he did that,
Thousands
100
of
miles.
reps. I think on the Rogan, he's like, thousands of reps, man. I would do that stuff nobody wanted to do.
Yeah, him and his boy, who he referred to as BFG, maybe. Anyway, the night before he did his first 100-mile run, he was heavy squats, hundreds of reps, deadlifts, all that big stuff. He had no idea what he was doing. Showed up the next day with myoplex and some like Ritz crackers,
So
some crackers. I think so. Just milky-ish shakes and yeah, he had rhabdo. He almost didn't make it. But then he didn't learn from that lesson. It took him 3 times of having rhabdo. I think to learn from that.
So what the moral of this story is what to take away from it? Like, you gotta keep trying. Like, you're gonna fail multiple times in your life, or if you want something, you're gonna fail. Like, there's gonna be setbacks and stuff like that. So eventually, it's gonna work out, right? Because he obviously learned from it eventually.
He tried to get into special force
times, you know.
Tried to get into special forces too, and
can't be scared of failure.
He didn't. Like, they didn't pick him.
Yeah.
He got lost in one land navigation thing with like the Army Rangers, and they were like, "No, like we're not doing that." So anyway, so he was pretty open about that stuff too. The good and the bad. What else you got, man? I got that one quote that we talked about. Anti-Frail.
Yeah, what's the quote?
Machiavelli. Despise delicate living.
Despise delicate living.
So anyway, David Goggins, I think all this stuff kind of applies to that. Even the weight loss stuff is just kind of embracing what your current situation is, and it might not always be pretty, but to kind of, Goggins talks about callousing your mind and just kind of pushing yourself to do things, and just
becoming stronger in general, you know? Like, you want to become mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, physically stronger.
Exposure therapy for things. If you're always scared of something, like start very small and just kind of keep going.
Starting a business, starting a podcast.
Being scared of fights, being scared of swimming, like these were all things that David Goggins was, and he could have, embraced the delicate life and just not even tried that stuff and avoided it. But
I guess that's just psychology, though. Like, part of human nature is just to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it's a trap. It's almost like a trap. Like, if you're constantly in a comfortable state, like,
it's the easy thing to do.
Yeah, it's the easier route.
Hey, baby's back in action. We're not bringing her back on. She's over there eating a little bit.
She's smiling though.
She's happy, girl.
And it's winning. She looks healthy.
So we got to get her. She just turned 1, Frank. What do you recommend for a 1-year-old?
Deadlift, squats, chin-ups.
Just a big...
monkey bars. She says, no way.
Yeah, we're doing the big... She was at Tumble today.
We got some staggers going? Walking? Or when does that come on?
There's people that are her age that can walk.
Okay.
She stands and uses her hands for support. She does this as well.
So she's an assisted walk?
Yeah, she's an assisted walker, and she's enjoying
You got one of those things she can, like, push around?
Yeah.
Does she use it?
Yeah. The problem is,
step, right?
I think her father holds her all the time. Her father holds her a lot.
What a scumbag.
Enjoys it. And she's like, I don't need to walk anywhere. I got my daddy to snuggle me and hold me.
You gonna pay her bills when she's 35 too?
Probably. Good correlation there. Yeah. So we'll get her moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get her moving.
Yeah, she's good.
What else you got? Good. Any questions, comments, concerns? Kombucha shout out again. Portch tea.
Porch tea. It's delicious.
The man.
Best part about it is he's growing everything right here.
Yeah. And he allows us to come here and enjoy his little tap room.
Yeah.
Sundays it's open every Sunday, I believe.
10 to 2.
I believe so. Farmers markets.
We're gonna try to set up an event here.
Yeah. Weightlifting.
Booch and bells.
Booch and bells or
bells and booch? Bells first, then booch. Although you can use it as fuel. It's not like booze like you do to kettlebells and
you're gonna have to get.
We'll think about it. We'll get back to you.
Brainstorm. All right, man. That's it. Thanks, Frank. Another one in the dust. Peace.